Hello folks, my name is Mark, and this is Why I Hate the World. So, well, today we're going to be talking about the right-wing aversion to democracy that I've noticed. Now, when I first made the decision to make these videos like this, one of the things I said that I told myself is that I wasn't going to engage in any of the kind of stupid, like, ponage type videos. You know what I'm talking about? It's like when somebody takes a video or a response that someone else did and just basically tears it apart, because personally I think that's fucking lame. Okay, I have nothing against that, people who make those kinds of videos. I mean, because sometimes it could be kind of funny, you know, like, I actually like watching ones where they, like, people make fun of creationists and shit like that. I actually kind of like those, but for the most part, you know, they're just it's just two people arguing, and the point of this channel that I have is not for me to get into any dick waving matches with somebody out there on the fucking internet. It's for me to express my opinion. That's what this channel's about. So I've been, you know, up until this point, I've been kind of avoiding those kinds of things. But I got a couple of comments this last week that actually does warrant having this kind of response, so because they're pretty fucking out there. So anyway, I hope you'll agree. I don't know, I'm gonna break my no ponage rule for this particular guy. Okay. Now, I made a video last year called "People Who Piss Me Off, Libertarians," right? And although that one isn't the doesn't have the most views out of anything that I've done, it seems to get the most comments, you know. And this came up back and forth between me and a guy named Macitymac, or Macitymac, something like that. And the idea is it came from in the video I talk about why I reject that comparison of taxes to slavery. Comparison of taxes to thievery. I reject that. Okay, and the reason why, if you haven't seen the other video, the reason why I reject that is because when you know, it's taxes are not thievery when you're represented. Okay, like if you have a say in who gets taxed and who doesn't get taxed and what gets taxed and when it's collected and how much it is, you're not being stolen from. Okay, you're being, you know, you're giving consent to that, right? Whether, you know, through your elected official or whatever. I mean, even you have, you know, they can repeal taxes, all right? I mean, can you repeal thievery? It doesn't, no, all right? So the taxes are not fucking thievery, and that's how this came about, because they came on and said, how could you not call them thievery, right? Anyway, and so, you know, don't be giving me this taxes are thievery bullshit, because it's not fucking true. But anyway, so this response to that, you know, my response to him was, well, you're represented, and it's, you know, democracy, basically. You know, you live in a democracy, people get to decide who's going to be taxed in a democracy, right? And the response I got back from him was this. At Hawanja, haha, that's so rich. We never have and never will be a democracy. A democracy is in more ways more tyrannical than any dictatorship. Nothing better than 51% plus one setting the rules for the other 49%, right? All a democracy is people governing other people. At least in a dictatorship, I can get a gun and go out and defend myself. A republic sets the standard that protects the minority from the majority. That's the purpose of supermajorities and checks and balances. Macitymac 4 days ago. So, are you fucking kidding me? Like, okay, now how exactly does that make any sense, right? You know, the democracy is essentially having the consent of the majority, right? The consent of the people, basically, is what democracy is, you know, and then you don't get 100% consent from everyone, right? But you have the majority, okay? How exactly is that more tyrannical than just one guy setting the rules for everybody? Like, how do you even fucking come to that? You know, like, where I was talking about this, I had a video a little while ago about riots in Britain and stuff, and then, like, people went out and they burned, you know, because they felt like they were being, you know, marginalized, right? And when people are a stakeholder in their own society, they're less likely to want to you know, riot and destroy everything when they don't get what they want. Okay, that's what a democracy is all about. Is it's having a stakeholder, you know, giving people, making them stakeholders in their society, having their consent. All right, making them, when they're represented, then things are more fair. Okay, they're not 100% fair, but they're more fair, right? How is one guy just setting the rules for everybody? How is that more just than having the consent of the majority? It doesn't make any sense to me, right? I mean, now whether you think, you know, whether you think that we in the United States no longer are ruled by the consent of our people, that's a subject for a different video, okay? But don't be giving me this fucking, like, you know, democracy is tyranny shit. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? That's fucking stupid, alright? Next sentence. All democracy is people governing other people. Yeah, no shit, okay? Because all governments are people governing other people. That's why they call it a government, you fucking idiot. I mean, as opposed to, like, say, a clam bake or an umbrella, alright? It's called a government because people are governing other people. Fucking idiot. Alright. But this sentence, I really love this sentence here. At least in a dictatorship, I can get a gun and go out and defend myself. Right? A republic sets a standard that protects the minority from the majority. That's the purpose of supermajorities and checks and balances. Wow. So, basically what you're telling me is that you would give up the right to self-govern as long as you have the ability to buy a gun? Like, are you fucking serious? Like, you know, first off, most of the time when someone lives in a dictatorship, they don't have a right to bear arms, okay? Most of the time. That's not 100%, but, you know, I mean, can people legally own weapons in Cuba or North Korea? I don't fucking think so, okay? You know, but what about all the other shit that a dictator would do that, you know, besides just your Second Amendment? Because, you know, your ability to own a gun, I mean, yeah, it's important, but it's not the most important fucking thing in the universe, okay? You know, what about, I don't know, we were talking about taxes. What about taxes, alright? You know, do you think taxes are lower in a dictatorship, right? I mean, are you fucking kidding me, right? You know, that's when it would really be theft, because you don't have a say in how they're enforced and who gets taxed and who doesn't, and when you don't have a say in tax policy, when you're not represented, then it actually is thievery. I mean, that was one of the things that the fucking founding fathers said, you know, that was one of their grievances with fucking Great Britain, was that no taxation without representation. So how exactly is it okay for a dictator to put fucking taxes, but not okay for a democracy to put taxes? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, alright? It makes no sense, okay? I mean, and what do you think would happen? You know, if you, all these people that say shit like, oh, well, taxes are thievery because the cops will come and arrest me if I don't pay them. Well, what do you think would happen to you in Nazi Germany or, you know, fucking Soviet Russia or something if you didn't pay your taxes? What do you think would happen? Okay, do you think they'd just be like, all right, fine, go ahead, you know, you don't want to pay them, don't? I mean, no, alright? Use your fucking brain. When you say shit like this, think about what it fucking means, for crying out loud, alright? Because this is the stupidest shit I've heard in my entire life, okay? God damn. You know, it's telling me that you would give up, you know, it's like you give up the ability to self-govern in order to have the illusion of security, alright? And you deserve, I mean, if we're going to talk about the founding fathers, you know, there's some quote from Ben Franklin or something talking about, you know, people who would give up security, you know, people who give up liberty for security deserve neither. I mean, I can't remember exactly who it is because I don't tend to quote mine people, right? But still, I mean, it's the most anti-freedom thing I mean, you know, you're supposed to be, libertarians are supposed to be people who, like, you know, liberty. I mean, you're supposed to be people who stand for freedom and shit like that. And this is the, like, that sentence is just, it's the kind of thing that people say to themselves when they live under a dictatorship, you know. It's justifying is what that is. You're justifying the fucking tyranny. It's like, it makes me want to puke, seriously. But anyway, so that's not everything from Mr. Cine Mac. I mean, there's more. He left another comment here, and this one, oh wow, okay. Anhuanja, one thing though, I don't give a shit about democracy, if anything. Democracy is more tyrannical than a monarchy, which you seem to think I represent. No, I stand for the original ideas stated within the Magna Carta, the Leviathan and Adam Smith stated within their ideas. That man is king within his own castle, that man is naturally born of the rights to life, liberty, and property. Like I said, you confuse libertarianism with moderate conservatism, you will lose every time. Wow. Okay. So what you're telling me is that you would give up the right to self-govern as long as you get the illusion of individual rights, okay? As long as you get to be the king of your castle, like, and own a gun and not pay taxes and do drugs when you feel like it and shit like that, then you don't care who's in charge of your country or what happens. I mean, you know, it's fucking ridiculous. It's the most, that's just completely, that's like the most, you know, it's a contradiction is what you're doing. I mean, you know, as long as you have your natural rights, you're happy. I mean, is that what you're fucking telling me? Like, you know, first off, like, what about those people that don't want the things you want? I mean, because that's what you're saying to me. You're saying to me that as long as the dictatorship is enforcing the things that I want, that I'm okay with it. Well, what about the people who don't want the things that you want? Okay, what about the people that, you know, you're talking, because elsewhere Mr. Cine Mac said that he was, you know, against abortion, right? Which I don't understand how that works, because, you know, if he thinks that, you know, you're supposed to be free and king of the castle, then, but it's okay to fucking impose your will on other people's reproductive rights, that's something that libertarians don't fucking get. But anyway, what about the people out there who are anti-abortion? Okay, what about them? All right, you know, like, I mean, what about their natural right to not, you know, to not have children, you know, to be able to plan their families, all right? I mean, just because they don't share your fucking religious views, how does that make sense? How do you get to fucking impose your religious viewpoint on them and force them to have children when they don't want it, all right? How does that compatible with your idiotic idea of natural fucking rights and being the king of your fucking castle, all right? I mean, who the fuck are you to say otherwise? It's idiotic. I mean, what you don't understand is that without the ability to self-govern, all right, without a representative government, okay, that is a government where people are represented and they have a say in how their country and society is run and how the laws are written and who's taxed and, you know, what the punishments are for crimes and everything, right? Without all of that, you have no rights, okay? I mean, I already made a video about natural rights and why I think they're a load of shit, but if you haven't seen it, basically it comes down to this. You have no fucking, there's no such fucking thing as natural rights, alright? They're not innate, okay? Any rights that you have are not some kind of inborn thing that's granted to you by God, right? They're constructions, is what they are. They're, you know, people make them up, okay? They, you know, you have rights because they're written down in the Constitution, right? And people agree to obey that Constitution. That's why you have rights, okay? Nothing, you know, they're nothing that you're born with. They're not transferred with you when you go to another country, all right? Okay, your Second Amendment is not a fucking natural right, okay? Your right to fucking, you know, self-worship and shit like that is not a natural fucking right. Because if it was, you could go to any country on earth and it would come with you. I mean, is that how that works, right? Can you go to fucking, you know, England and bring your Second Amendment right with you? No. Okay. Can you go to fucking North Korea and bring your right to worship with you? No. All right. It's bullshit. Okay. It doesn't. It's your rights are creations of the state. All right. People don't want to admit that. You know, they don't like the idea that the state can take them away from you. But that's exactly how it works. Okay. And if you don't have, you know, if you don't have the democracy, then you don't have a way to protect those rights. Okay. I mean, the only way that you can preserve these rights, right, and keep them from being taken away for dumb shit reasons, right, is when you have a say in how you're governed, okay? I mean, when you have no fucking say in your government, and then you have no fucking rights. That's how it works, all right? That's how, and that's why you can choose any third world dictatorship, right, and you can find wanton abuse of fucking human rights, okay? I mean, you know, that's why you get people being slaughtered in Cambodia, you know, the killing fields and stuff like that, in fucking, you know, Nazi Germany death camps and you know, purges in fucking Soviet Russia, you know, where they go out and millions upon millions of people, like, you know, killed, and fucking all the political opposition is fucking killed. And that's what the same pattern repeats in every fucking, like, dictatorship that's out there, because when people don't have a say in how shit is run, then when one person, you know, when one person dictates to everybody else what their rights are going to be, suddenly all their rights start disappearing, right? I mean, look at North Korea, okay? There's a country, it's run by one family, all right? One person at the head, all right, fucking Kim Jong-il just died, his son took over. There were no elections there, right? People don't get to decide how they're fucking governed, all right? There's like, you know, news stories of people being like thrown in jail for not crying loud enough at fucking Kim Jong-il's funeral. I mean, is that what you want? You know, would you be okay with that? As long as, you know, would you live under a system like that as long as you're allowed to own a gun and fucking, you know, and smoke weed and all the other crap and not pay taxes? I mean, is that okay with you? Because if it is, then you're a fucking idiot, all right? And that's not what America is all about, all right? In America, we have you know, whether it's, you know, all the flaws that we have in our system, right? At least you get some say in how shit is set up, right? You get to say if something is illegal and something isn't illegal, okay? Laws change, there's no absolutes. You know, back in the 30s, people outlawed alcohol, right? And then they fucking banned that again, okay? You try things, and if things work, you keep them. If they don't work, you don't keep them, right? You know, and lots of people now are saying shit like, you know, democracy isn't working. You know, we have a drug war, we have fucking all these other wars out there in the Middle East, and, you know, terrorism and all that crap, and fucking the TSA and people being searched and all that crap, and, you know, and you had but the thing is that if you don't have, you know, if you take away the ability to elect people and change these laws, then we might as well be living under a dictatorship, right? And this fucking guy would be okay with that as long as he got the things that he wanted. I mean, it makes me sick to my stomach, okay? You know, because people will be saying shit like that. People think that, you know, what I just said sounds like a good description of America, and, you know, it's not, alright? The United States is not a fucking dictatorship, okay? I mean, regardless of all the flaws that you think we have in our country, right? Things are not so bad here that, you know, like, if you really want to see corruption, right, go to Cambodia, right? Go to Thailand, okay? Go to Pakistan, go to fucking Myanmar or Burma or whatever the fuck they call it, or Angola, alright? Try to deal with the governments there, okay? And you'll see some real fucking corruption, alright? I mean, talk to anyone who's lived under a third world dictatorship, and you'll see how precious your fucking natural rights are, you know? You'll see how much they fucking matter, okay, when you live in a dictatorship, alright? It might not be a surprise to some of you to learn that this isn't the first time I've heard this kind of anti-democracy statement from somebody on the right. I get comments like this all the time, actually. You know, when I say we live in a democracy, someone always puts back this stupid-ass quote like, democracy or the wolves deciding what's for dinner, you know, shit like that. I get that all the fucking time. And the idea is that as long as the things I want are legal, then fuck it, I don't care who's in charge, right? And it's something that seems to come from the right, like, exclusively. I don't get this kind of thing from progressives or from, you know, even anarchists or you know, liberals or anybody else. It's usually conservatives and libertarians. You know, they have no problem imposing their will on everyone else, especially when it comes to certain things like, you know, reproductive rights and taxes and fucking things like that. They have no problem, you know, like they want everybody to be free and to be able to do whatever they want. But when it comes to this shit that they want, they have no problem using the state to enforce that, right? And it's this mentality, this kind of fucking, you know, at least in a dictatorship I can own a gun kind of mentality, you know, it's an excuse, right? I mean, you know, it's bullshit. It's an excuse, it's a rationale for somebody who wants to enforce their will on everyone else, right? And it's the kind of rationale that people, like, tell to themselves when they live under a dictatorship, okay? This is the kind of thing that the good Germans were saying in fucking, you know, 1939 and stuff. They were saying, well, you know, this is the kind of thing that people get in their heads, and it's like, it's kind of disturbing because there are many people out there like this guy Macitymac who think in that same way, all right? And they would be perfectly happy living under a right-wing theocratic dictatorship where fucking other religions in the United States were banned, and where, you know, abortion was banned, right? And where we had no fucking social safety net and no welfare and like no help whatsoever, and churches ran everything, and fucking, you know, and we had a 700-foot border wall with fucking like lava and like machine guns across the fucking Mexican border and stuff, and fucking, you know, anybody who wasn't white is a second-class citizen. This is the kind of, they would have no problem living under that kind of thing. And it's like, people like this would make that fucking happen, okay? That's what a dictatorship in the United States run by these fucking conservative libertarian assholes would be like, okay? So fuck that, alright? I mean, fuck that, okay? Democracy is not tyranny. Democracy is the opposite of fucking tyranny, alright? The United States is not a dictatorship, okay? Taxes are not fucking thievery, and it's not okay to live under a dictatorship as long as the dictator enforces what you fucking believe in personally, alright? I mean, fuck that. Anybody who says that is an asshole, and you just lose all credibility, alright? And you can suck my dick, Macitymac, okay? Fuck you, and fuck everyone who thinks like you. Adios, folks.